Today on Cryptic Mass Guitar, I kind of just want to make a video, and there's a video that a couple people have asked me to make, and that is because I have the 3 different Les Paul Customs. Just which one do I prefer? So we'll take a look at my Gibson Les Paul Murphy Lab Ultra Light 1957 Les Paul Custom, my Gibson Les Paul Custom Murphy Lab Ultra Light 1963 Les Paul Custom, and my Gibson Custom Murphy Lab Ultra Light 1968 Les Paul Custom. I'll explain the Murphy Lab thing I just while you're typing in Poser, I guess. I think that's what people do. But very quickly first, here's just a quick sound sample with all 3 of them. All right, I have the camera set just really weird, so I kind of have to go down like this. I'll explain really quickly the Murphy Lab thing. There's kind of 2 reasons why I like them. Number 1, the necks just feel fantastic on them. I'm also going to touch on the differences between my 1957 and my other 2 Les Paul Customs, the Murphy Lab treatment on there, because the 1957 is a little bit older. Well, it's 2022 instead of like 2024 and 2025, I think. But yeah, I prefer the feel of the necks. I just find it a lot more comfortable, or just that, sorry, I shouldn't say a lot more comfortable, that extra mile comfortable, just feeling the checking that's on the back of the neck. I really enjoy it. And I mean, it looks neat, but I don't know, just the VOS finish is perfectly fine, and I love that finish as well. But yeah, that's reason number one. And number two, I have dementia running in my family, unfortunately, and that kind of the cracks that are in it with the checking kind of makes a mental connection with me. So I'm weird. I understand that, but that's the whole Murphy Lab thing. But you can still type poser because, I don't know, people hate Gibson too, so I really like Gibson. So just go ahead. But what I want to do here, again, like I said, I just want to make a video. And people have been asking me to kind of, hey, which one do I prefer? So I figured I'd do a video on it. I am going to do a little bit of playing, not a lot. Even though that is really why I, make YouTube videos, because I just like playing guitar. But I'd like to kind of explain a few things, whether or not they, matter to you or not, or it's something that maybe you're thinking of, or, it's obvious, or it's something you're not thinking of. I just kind of want to touch on those things. And then I'll kind of reveal which one I prefer. But I'll start things out by saying, this is my 1957. This is the guitar that I've dreamed of all my life. 30 years it took me to get this guitar. 30 years to get this guitar. I absolutely love this thing to pieces. It's hard for me not to say that this is my favorite, because, like, honestly, hands down, this is my favorite guitar that I own. But something a little different. The 1968 here, because it has that 14-degree headstock angle rather than the 17-degree. If I got that wrong, I'm pretty damn sure this is the 14-degree. I don't know why I'm kind of questioning myself there. But it doesn't have that crazier, that much of a crazier headstock break or headstock angle in it. It feels very different, vastly different. It doesn't feel like an Epiphone, because that is what Epiphone uses for the headstock angle. It doesn't feel like that. It sort of feels like the neck is wider, even though it isn't, and the neck is flatter, even though it isn't. That's just the connection that I kind of make with this guitar here. And also, this is the only non-P90 custom shop guitar that I have that doesn't have the custom buckers in it. These are the 68 custom buckers. I think it's hard to track things down with these pickups for some reason. I think they're modeled after T-top. So with the custom buckers, they have this like really sweet top end, where this has a little bit more of a defined top end to it. So you get a little more bite rather than like some sweet top end sizzle. The 1963 Les Paul Custom here, traditionally this would, because I think, could be wrong here, but most of them were actually SG customs rather than having the branding of Les Paul when it came to, having this type of system to it. But I can completely understand where it's a Les Paul custom over an SG custom. And yeah, I kind of like that badging a little more because it just says custom right here rather than Les Paul custom and having the Les Paul custom truss rod cover. I just banged it. Of course, it's okay. It's a Murphy Lab. This guitar here, there's a lot more resonance in this guitar because there's more wood that's missing, and inherently this bridge here, it kind of gives you a lot more low-end vibrancy when you're playing. So that is something, like, a lot of people, when they talk about resonance, I've found over the years, and maybe it's just the way that I'm taking it, because when I think resonance, I think presence and resonance. So resonance would be more of the low mids and low end, whereas the presence would be more of the top end sizzle and that upper mid range. So a lot of people, for some reason, they think, resonance means it rings out and it's bright, which definitely would not be the case. If that's how you're taking it, that's how you're taking it. But this, when I say this inherently has a lot more resonance to it, I mean there's a lot more low end that you feel in your body. And that's just something like it feels like it's puffing air out sometimes. It feels like there's that much low end. And where I don't own any Strats currently at the moment, just because I'm sort of, well, I'm not made of money, but I'm kind of figuring out whether I do want a 54 Strat custom shop that's hardtail or with the actual traditional tremolo system on it. But it's a lot more reminiscent of that feeling where you're feeling a lot more of the tremolo system rather than the wood, if that makes any sense to you. But that's enough talking, because really, we want to hear me play this, right? Or we want to hear someone play this, maybe not me. But I really want to play this, and then I'll talk in between a little. Yeah, so like feel-wise, when it comes to the 1957, the 1957 is a one-piece mahogany body and a mahogany neck. So there's no maple involved here. So it sort of gives it, there's a lot more mids in it rather than a bunch of top end. So I find that you get a little more bite when there's a maple top involved. So you definitely feel a major difference. There's not more resonance, so there's not more low end in this guitar here than there is in the 1968. Because the 1968 has maple, but it is something that is completely noticeable. Doesn't feel like it's dull by any stretch of the imagination, but you're not going to feel a lot more of the top end in comparison to the 1968 here. The 1968, again, it has that 14-degree headstock angle, so to me it feels like the neck is flatter. For some reason it feels like the neck is wider, even though it's not. It's just a little more brighter because of the maple that's involved. It doesn't feel as, I don't want to say like there's like anything weird with the structural integrity. It doesn't feel as solid because there's a little more, the 1958 is like not all mids, but it's like very mid-heavy guitar, whereas this, playing it acoustically or just how you're feeling it in your body, there's a little more balance of the overall tones, but there is a bit more accentuated high end. And also coming into the 1963 here, the 1963, even though these are custom buckers, and I do have the pickups set very close to the 1957, like height-wise, it is a little bit quieter. And I do have some thoughts on the bridge, even though I find it hard going from a guitar with the Maestro Vibrola to a guitar that doesn't, because I'm constantly, I'll play and then I'll just go for the bar, and like the whale's tooth, or whale's tusk, is it whale? No, walrus tusk is not there, and it feels a little weird. But with this vibrato system, because it's not a stop bar, and it's meant to have a little bit of movement in it, it's quite different from a stop bar. A stop bar, does not have that movement. So one thing that you would note, or I always note with this and the 1964 VOS that I have, which is just an SG standard, not a custom. It's a custom shop, but you know what I mean. When you're tuning, so if you're changing your tuning, because that is something that I do all the time. So if I'm going from like E to E flat, or dad gad or dad gad in C, it's something that you have to tune it multiple times. So it's going to take that extra 30 seconds to get this thing into tune, because you'll tune this string, this string, this string, this string, this string, this string. You'll get those strings into tune, and because there's movement, similar to a Strat with the tremolo system, there's movement. So when you do that, or Floyd Rose, or not as bad as a Floyd Rose for movement, because that's more just of a balancing thing. So it's just going to bring things out of tune just a little bit, so you'll have to make those adjustments. So if you're someone that only tunes, when you tune once or twice, you'll tune this 4 or 5 times just to get the strings in place. And also, because of the way that this is held, it's sort of like it's top wrapped in comparison to the stop bar. So what I do when I tune 3 times. With this, I'll tune like 5 or 6 times. So I'll tune it to pitch up, never down, and then I'll tug on the strings, just so it pulls any slack that's here, any slack that's here, and it'll pull tension, so when I start bending, things won't start going flat. So when I do that, it's a lot easier. Because it's a lot more, it's a more direct angle. It just seems that it'll come out of the saddle a little easier, sort of like something I would notice on a Gretsch. Very similar to that. It just feels a little off when you're tugging on your strings. And also, with this design, it's not something that I don't think you would notice it on a recording or through a video, but playing it in person, in comparison, direct comparison to a stop bar equipped guitar, it's ever so slightly duller sounding. So it's not as bright. I shouldn't say dull, but it is just something that when you're playing it, you kind of feel it in your mind if you're thinking back to going from this to a stop bar. It has a feel that it's ever so slightly just a little bit duller. And yeah, we've got 3 pickups here. Yes, the middle pickup, I tend to set it a little lower because it does seem to, like a lot of people say. Some people say it doesn't. Just for them, it's, I guess, how they hold their pick. I'm not sure. It gets in the way, so sometimes you'll tap at it. So a lot of people, like when I bought it, they said, "Oh yeah, I take that middle pickup and I drop it down as much as I can." But you still have to think about sound, because it's not with the way that this is wired. I know you can change it, but I would prefer to kind of keep things stock. Even though in 1963, this guy would be facing the pole pieces would actually be the other way around, just like the neck pickup. But it's not bridge, middle, and the neck. It's bridge, and then when you put it in the middle position, it's bridge and middle, sort of out of phase. So it's kind of a little quacky, not really a Strat sound, but then when you put it up in the neck, it's just the neck. So here's the bridge. Here's the middle. A little bit of chords, so it's a little more apparent. So bridge. Middle. and neck. Now, so far I've been talking and playing a little bit there, but some people are going to say you're playing a JCM 800 and you've got it in the low setting, so... Still out of guitar shape. So before I say kind of which one I prefer, or at least which one I currently prefer, and by that I mean which one when I come downstairs after you know, working like 10, 11 hours or 10 or 12, 13, 14 hours a day, I come down for like 5-10 minutes and get to kind of just center myself by playing guitar, which one I grab for the most. So I want to talk about the Murphy Lab treatment, because this is my 1957. So we've already touched on, you know, why I really enjoy the Murphy Lab. I can understand if you don't like it, like it's not for everybody. But just for me, it's a lot more comfortable. I'm more interested when I'm playing a neck that has the checking on it. And I know it's something that they, you know, like rapidly age with their treatment. And it's something that, you know, like you can take a hair dryer or something to it and you can do these different things. And if you want to do that's definitely something that you can do. And I completely respect you for wanting to do that. That's just not something I would screw it up and there'd be no finish on the neck. I would do something like that. It's just... that's not my deal. So we already talked about why I like it, but I want to talk about the level here, because all three of these are the ultralight treatment, and you know, sometimes like it's usually quite hard unless I like hit a certain angle here of the light that you can actually see the treatment, and like even on the neck, it's usually pretty hard to see. But this 1957, it's $9,300 Canadian for a non-Murphy Lab, or it was $10,600 for the Murphy Lab. That's $1,300. So there's a big difference in price between these. So this one here, I wish they had given it the treatment that they do now, where there's a lot more checking involved. So this one here, it's rather light on the checking. You do feel it. I mean, it's not something you don't feel, but in comparison to the 1963 here, where like, yeah, it's a white guitar and like it is like severely checked. It's when I got it in person, because I saw what it looked like, because I had ordered it. This was in a store in Calgary, and I had it shipped to Edmonton. When I got it, I was like, whoa, this has got to be a heavily aged one, because it is cracked up like crazy. And like one thing that I was noting, like when I first got it, I was like, very comfortable, very comfortable. Like you can feel it quite a bit. And then you get down here and there's like, the checking is so tight. I was like, it kind of feels like there's a bit of a Band-Aid on the back of the guitar. Like I don't feel that anymore. You just feel a lot more checking. And it's just something that I find very, very, very comfortable when I'm playing. And it's, like I said, it's a lot more apparent that this has the Murphy Lab treatment to it than the 1957. Canadian, this is $9,000 for the non-Murphy Lab and $9,700 for the Murphy Lab. So $700 difference. rather than a $1,300 difference. The 1968 here, it's a lot more similar to the 1963's aging than the 1957. So like, again, it's very hard to see, especially on the black. But yeah, probably not going to be able to get a reflection of it, especially on the neck. But you feel the checking a lot more on the 1968 than you do on the 1957. So when I'm playing it, it's a lot more apparent that it's a Murphy Lab. This is 83.50 Canadian, I believe, and then for the non-Murphy Lab, and this was $9,000 for the Murphy Lab. So we're getting into very different price differences, and I find that it's a little unfortunate that like it feels like I got less Murphy Lab treatment for something that's $1,300 difference rather than like $700 difference, or even less. So it is something like to keep in mind. There was, from what I was told in the store, there was definitely a shift in the amount of checking from like 2022, 2023 to 2024 and 2025. So it seems like there's a little more aging to it rather than the older ones. So keep that in mind. And as another reference point here, this is the only other Murphy Lab that I had. This is the first Murphy Lab that I bought, and I kind of wish I would have tried the 1957 that I bought. I wish they would have had an ultralight or even a light, because I think I would have gotten that in with the Murphy Lab treatment. And like that ultralight and light treatment, the neck is very comfortable to me when I'm playing it. They had like an ultra heavy, I think it was. It was double the price, basically, of the one that I bought. And it did not feel like it was missing finish and like chunks of the wood that were taken out, stuff like that. And it didn't entice me, and it just didn't feel as comfortable playing it in comparison to the VOS. It just seemed like when I was playing it, I was a little snooty. So I was like, no. But the 1960 here, when I played this, because I wanted to order in a 1960, and I was like, Tangerine Burst. I want to pretend that I'm Joe Walsh. And they were like, okay, yeah, we can order that. But we actually have a Murphy Lab in stock if you want to take a look. And I was like, I'll try it. And I played it, and I instantly got it. I like the neck. It's not as heavy, because this is also a 2022, so it's not as heavily aged, or I shouldn't say that. Like the checking isn't as apparent, but this one is a little more tastefully done. So I feel this a little more than I do the 1957 one, and it's very, very comfortable. But I do prefer the 1968 and the 1963's level of checking on the neck. So to answer the question, which one is my favorite guitar? The 1957. That, to me, when I'm playing, I find that I can cover more. Like, to me, I want to play it more than any other guitar that I own. Usually that used to be my 1958 and then 1957, and then a toss-up between the 60 and the 59 that I have. Like, all of those are custom shops. They're not originals. I'm not fortunate. I'm not that fortunate, I should say. I'm extremely fortunate to own the guitars that I own. But the 1957, I find, to me, I want to play it more than the other guitars when it comes to like recording and everything. The 1968, because of the bite that's in the pickups, I find myself kind of gravitating towards that for like high gain stuff. So I'll be like, oh, okay, well, you know what, I'll do this, and it'll get a little more bite rather than a sweeter top end. So I find myself grabbing that for specifically high gain stuff. But the guitar that I after work, if I come home from like a you know, 11, 12, 13 hour day. Honestly, if I put footage every day from my Ring camera that I have up there, that's aimed on my guitars and everything, the one that's on my guitars at least, you would see me come down every single day, and you would see me doing this for 5 minutes. And it's a 5 minutes where I have a hard time putting it down, but I got to go to bed, basically. So my favorite guitar is the 1957, but the one that I prefer, as in the one that I pick up basically every day, is this. And if I were to somehow have an option to get another Les Paul Custom, like a fourth Les Paul Custom, I would probably try and get the 1962 Ebony Block Les Paul Custom. I wish that they still had that. I mean, it was a Jimi Hendrix SG Custom, but I still wish they had that 1967, because that still had the medium C neck, that like 1959 neck. Was just a little bit more girth, and I find that neck, the one that's on the 1964, it's a perfect match, I find, with an SG over the slim taper. But I mean, it's not like I don't like the slim taper. I really enjoy it, but I wish they had that 1967 SG Custom. It also had the Kluson vintage sizing tuners rather than the Grovers, which I have no problem with Grovers. I just prefer the vintage sizing Klusons. Yeah, I think that, honestly, that's what I would do. I would go with a 1962. So basically this, but with the Ebony Block over the full Maestro. Or I would get the 1967, because it has that Batwing pick guard and the Klusons. At that point, I think, I'm not sure, I think they would be T-tops for pickups. But, yeah. But I would still want the Murphy Lab treatment on it. It's just something to me where I didn't get it. At all. I was like, these, I thought they were pretty gross. And, you know, when I tried that 1957, when I bought my 1957, or the R7 as everyone calls it, I definitely went with the VOS. And it was because I didn't like the Ultra Heavy. And, like, I turned my nose up in the air. I was like, yeah, I don't think so. But I really do believe I would have gone with an ultralight or a light Murphy Lab. And I think at that point, because that was the second one that I bought, the second Gibson custom shop that I bought, I probably would have went Murphy Lab with everything else, just because it's the neck, it's just that much more comfortable to me. May not be to you, and we're all different. And if you don't, I shouldn't say understand, because if you don't like this advanced aging or simulated aging, it's like absolutely understandable. But to me, when I'm playing it, it's just that much more comfortable. And if you haven't tried a 50s or early 60s, or even, you know, like any 60s Gibson acoustics, like not Murphy Lab, like actual ones, those are probably, like, I played a 1958 country and western, and that neck was chewed to pieces. Like, not like, it was naturally aged over time, but like you felt every little piece of checking or bump in that neck, and it was so comfortable. And just where the finish had worn and everything, it sounded incredible. So, like, to me, I don't think I would go with a heavy aged guitar, unless it didn't have chunks missing from it, unless it was an acoustic. because those just seem to work very, very well. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you watched to the end of the video, I'm very sorry because this was long, and I got to go edit this now, and it's going to be a pain. But it was also the first time I ever used the DJI. See, this is what I do every day. DJI Mic Mini. I'm going to do an unboxing video on it because I bought two. And I bought them kind of stupidly because I could have just bought a 2-pack and it came with something extra. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I'm sorry for your time. And comment, you stole my time. Thanks for watching.